Welcome to Subramani. Many people have been asking me what should we be doing in our 20s from a finance point of view. I have very simple answers, and my answers are very different from what it used to be on my blog. I have done in my blog as to how to invest in your 20s and things like that, but now my answer is a little more tweaked toward today rather than it was say 5 years back or 7 years back. So step number one, clean up your online presence. Make sure that your friends don't tag you in a drunken stupor. You're in the beach and you're not wearing proper clothes, whether you're a boy or a girl, or you have got you're a boy and you got nail paint done, right? So every image of yours, everything that you do is going to impact somebody, and now you are on watch. Your potential employer is looking at you, your potential business partner is looking at you, your potential spouse is looking at you, your potential father-in-law is looking at you, right? Everybody, you now have a 360-degree view of your life being given on your digital trail that you have left. So go there and clean up. Right, so if you have drunken stupors for your 18th birthday, clear up all that. Tell all your friends and make sure that you put in logs that nobody should be able to tag you. You don't want a bad photograph to come up on the day of your important business meeting. Remember, I'm talking of what you should be doing in your 20s, right? So that could be at 21, it may not sound very important. At 29, it could be very, very important, right? So make sure that you clean up your presence. Second, especially for girls, if you are getting married, if you have got married, decide once for all whether you're going to change your name. Perfectly all right to continue your life as in your maiden name, but make sure that you then don't change your mind 3 months later or 6 months later or whatever. On one shot, when you change, it is very important that you make sure that all the documents are changed. The only advice that I would give to people is to wait for a few years before you change your name, because if you are going through a bad marriage for whatever reasons, imagine going from A name to B name and then going back from B name to A name, and if you get married again, going to A, B, C names, and you will create tremendous amount of confusion. And I know people who have had this experience. I'm sure you don't get into a marriage thinking it's going to end in a divorce, but give it some time or continue with your maiden name. There is nothing. You love your husband, that's fine. You love your husband's family. It does not mean you need to take that name, right? So this is second. So if you have and even if you have not changed your name or anything, make sure that your spelling is right in your bank, in your PAN card, in your Aadhaar card, in your passport, in your bank book, everywhere, right? A Kothari with a Y, a Kothari with a E, or a double E, or a Kothari with an I are all very different names as far as law is concerned. So make sure that all your documentation is perfectly done, because it's a very early stage. You have not still bought your first insurance, you have not yet bought your first mutual fund, nothing you have done. So it's easy to clean up. Imagine having to clean up at the age of 40 or 45 when you have some 20 instruments in various places. So you will then really have a much longer struggle. So decide to have 1 or 2 bank accounts, decide to have 1 or 2 credit cards, right? So start building your credit history. That is another important thing to do. And look at your own financial requirements, right? If you're 21 years of age and you find that your parents are extremely well off and they don't need your money, you don't need term insurance. Maybe you can build term insurance afterwards, maybe. But if you, let's say you both very successful, both are single children, both have parents who are financially very well off, maybe both you and your wife don't need any term insurance at all. Yes, medical insurance you need. So take adequate medical insurance, because anything could go wrong. You could drop dead, and dropping dead is still easy, but you could fall down and break a leg. Right from that, you will need some insurance. Your first job could be a great place for you to learn. And also remember, maybe you are a chartered accountant and working in the company, but you also have a flair for writing. So try to see whether you can write in the magazine. Maybe you write about finance, maybe you write about personal finance, maybe something, somewhere you are expressing yourself. Your first job is a place where you're going to learn how to use all the things that you studied. So right from how to use Excel and PowerPoint and Word documents, everything you're going to improve on, and make sure that it is visible to the outside world as to what you're doing, whether you're making projections or any of those things. Yes, you learned everything in college. You attended a course by Microsoft where they taught you how to use Excel. You're very good at it, but first time you're going to see all that being implemented. If you have friends who are going into business and you are rich enough to be able to afford it, go pump money into their business, maybe pump your time into that and start giving them your time, do a startup, join a startup, any of those things. All those risks you're going to take in your 20s. You will never be able to do that in your 40s. So don't let some old person come and tell you, no, you should be starting to save money for your retirement. Yes, exactly, perfectly. I also would like to say that, but this is a time when you should be also looking at investing in your friend's business or joining your friend, right? Becoming a COO to a person who is starting a business is perfectly all right, because you are also going to be called a promoter or employee number one or whatever it is. So any of those options you should consider. If required, you should take term insurance. If not required, don't take. But yes, taking medical insurance is very important. Go learn about medical insurance, find a good agent, because in medical insurance, making claims and all that is hard work. You're not going to be able to do it on your own alone. You could mess up and make sure that you don't get any money. So mutual funds you can buy direct. There is no issue. You can go and put money in an index fund. If you're saying, I don't want to learn anything, I just want to put money in an index fund. If you think you want to learn, finding yourself a good agent who will sit with you, teach you, and chat with you, and charge you a fee, it could be very useful. Medical insurance we have spoken about. Term insurance, if appropriate, you should be taking. Do all this chart, and yes, maybe 1,000 rupees a month, maybe 2,000 rupees a month, start putting away for your retirement. The earlier that you start, the better it is. Make sure that your name and other documents are right. If you have had the luck of inheriting a property or buying a property, then make sure that you make a will. You don't need to make a will on day one if you don't have any real estate assets. If you have financial assets, they'll just pass through by a nominee, which brings us to the importance that whenever you make a fixed deposit, you open a savings bank account. Some companies insist that your savings bank account should be in single name. You cannot include anybody else. Then it's very important that you have a nominee in place, because they would say, oh, nominee baad mein kar lo, and then you postpone. Then make sure that your nominee is in place. And then if the nominee is dead, let's say you made your mother the nominee, few years later your mother died, maybe died young, maybe died of cancer, whatever it is, then you have to make sure that the nominee is changed from your mother to your father, or maybe if you got married, then it should be your wife. So right, so make sure about all those things. Make sure that you travel, because the kind of experience that you can get now, and remember, when you're in your 20s, you buy only one ticket. By the time you're in your late 20s, you start buying 2 tickets, and somewhere in your 30s, you buy 3 or maybe even 4 tickets, right? So travel gets more expensive because there are 4 people traveling. So whatever is an expensive travel, try finishing that in your 20s. Just joking, but yes, doing all that is as important as putting your financial plan in place. Try making a budget and living in a budget. Stop going to your parents and saying, oh, I need money, I need this for an emergency. Yes, but not on a regular basis, right? So put together all these things, put a budget, learn to live on the budget, learn to save 20, 30, 40, 50% of your money. And if you're not paying any rent, if you're not paying for your food, maybe you could be saving 90% of your take home salary, because there's no expense. And don't treat your whole income as, oh, the whole money belongs to me. No, there is a element which belongs to your parents, because you're not paying rent, you're not paying anything for food. So that much money should actually be offered to your parents and say, okay, here is the money. It's their prerogative to say no, but it is your job to go and offer some rent. Maybe you're living in Santa Cruz in a nice 3 BHK, and but at least offer 5,000 rupees as rent. Maybe the rent there is 50,000 rupees, but make some offer, right? Your parents will feel good about it. So largely, if you do some of these things or all of these things, then it's very useful. Find what you're good at, because in your first job, they will allow you to experiment, they will allow you to write, and suddenly you find that yes, you are a BE, MBA, but you're very good at writing, and suddenly you might become a journalist, or you're a chartered accountant and you might start writing about personal finance. right? Any of these things could happen. So explore all your skills, learn, implement all the skills that you learned. I mean, like I said, like whether it is Excel or any of those things. So do all that, have fun, and make sure that you don't miss out the fun in growing up. You're still in your 20s. Have fun. Bye.